Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amanda, will you call the roll?
Trustee Messick?
Here.
Trustee Rocco?
Here.
Trustee Sheehan?
Here.
Trustee Casera?
Here.
Trustee Lautner?
Here.
Trustee Zora?
Here.
President DeCipio?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, first on our agenda tonight is we have a presentation by Sharon Derling from Northern Illinois Municipal Electric Collaborative. So Sharon, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, President. Thank you for inviting me and trustees. In short, the village has had an excellent record in their electric aggregation policy to date. I think the March primary election in 2012 is when your voters passed with a wide majority to establish an electric aggregation program. So that you did for 2 years, and the report is, probably told you this before, but the average participating household saved $319 with essentially no change in electricity, actually no change in electricity. And across a community that was more than $1.25 million just for taking advantage of competitive pricing. So excellent work on that. The program was suspended because didn't seem to be much savings to be achieved, but we've stayed in touch with the village, and there's an interesting opportunity that has been presented this summer. So that's what I'm here to talk about. Make it fairly brief, but I'm happy to respond to questions about it. So we took your usage data profile from ComEd and took it out to bid, and the results were, as we've seen lately, well above the ComEd rate to compare. You might have a matrix that looks like this, and we have 5 fairly active suppliers, and you'll see in this first column is the supplier name. The second column is pricing for traditional energy, and that's what you're getting through ComEd today. Traditional means 14.5% of it is renewable energy per Illinois law. The third column is what you would pay for 100% green energy. And you can see those prices are, well, brings you to the next question. What's the ComEd rate? How does that compare? Under that first matrix, I have written the annualized ComEd default rate is 7.75 cents per kilowatt hour. All of those numbers in columns 2 and 3, column 3 are well above that rate. So there's nothing to do in terms of a standard electric aggregation program, but we have a new opportunity that we've launched this summer, and a number of communities are getting fairly excited about it. So everyone is currently paying the ComEd rate. To be clear, the ComEd rate varies a little bit from month to month off that base 7.75 cents per kilowatt hour. There's a supplier that has an offering where they would set up an electric aggregation program in the community. Everyone would continue to pay exactly, not a penny more or less, the ComEd rate, and offer 100% green for all the residents in the community, all the ratepayers. You might ask, how does that happen? Since that same supplier bid higher rates for 100% green. Say it kind of briefly. All of these 5 suppliers, when they analyzed your data load, looked at every individual account, 5,000 and change, and they analyzed the cost of all of those accounts. The cost varies different from one neighbor to the next. It's not about house size, but electricity by law has to be available on demand all the time, in the coldest of winter nights, in the hottest of summer afternoons. And the cost of electricity is widely variable. So it's very expensive on an August afternoon when it's 103 degrees, in the middle of the day when factories are still working and folks are home with air conditioning turned up to 68 degrees. It's extremely expensive to continue that low demand that is required by law. But it's much cheaper on maybe in the middle of the night in September, no one's got their air or furnace running. So that's my first point. Electricity price is really variable. So what I'm going to say is one ratepayer's account might really only cost 6 cents per kilowatt hour over the course of the year. Another ratepayers account, depending on how and when they use it, might be 12 cents. There's a wide variation in how you use it. On a real hot summer day, if you have all the friends over, air conditioning's turned up to 66 degrees. I don't do that, but you know, you got the pool going, all the lights are on in the house. It's going to be very expensive. So what MC Squared has been able to do is to calculate and analyze the actual cost for each meter in the village. They would leave the ones that are really expensive to serve at ComEd, still paying the ComEd rate, and then they would enroll the ones that are less costly to serve in an aggregation program. With the margin they would be able to earn, they would purchase green energy for the whole LaGrange Park aggregation community, even the folks at ComEd. It's kind of a new product. It would be a larger green aggregation program than you could ever achieve previously. Even the folks that opt out, you decide, I don't want to be in the program, would still pay the ComEd rate. The village would still be retiring 100% green energy on their behalf. So that's about 15,000 tons per year of reduced carbon emissions. Actually, it's a little higher than that. It was really conservative, sort of 18,000. And it's an interesting program because right now everybody's paying the ComEd rate. If you engaged in this program, everyone in the community would receive a letter from the village saying, we're providing you with 100% green aggregation. Some folks that say you don't need to do anything, we're providing you with green energy. And some other folks, about 50%, would say, we're enrolling you at MC Squared. You can still opt out if you want. You can still leave at any time for no cost. But those would be served. And the village would then be eligible to receive the US EPA designation of a green power partner community. There aren't many communities in Illinois. I think today I counted about 12 communities. So that's something you could put on your front door, logo, website. And it's an interesting way to provide green energy, even in opt-out programs. You're not going to get that high level of. Is wind energy produced in the Midwest on either the GATS or MRET system. I won't go into that, but that is their audited certificates overseen by FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Kind of a lot. I'll take a moment there. Questions come up? Happy to.
Karen, in your description in our board packet, it was mentioned, and maybe I'm a little bit confused with this, but that even the wind energy, the Grange Park residents would not be receiving that energy directly, but.
Yes, I'll tell you, the only way you can say the Grange Park residents are receiving energy directly is everyone unplugs from the ComEd grid, and you set up a large windmill in the center of town, and everyone puts wires to that windmill. So very good point. When coal burns or nuclear fission occurs, I know, I'm already over my head, they produce an electron. When a wind farm produces an electron, once those electrons go into the grid that serves all of northern Illinois and 16 states back to New Jersey, we actually share a grid with them, you can't tell them apart. So you couldn't say, well, my electron's from coal, my electron's from wind, so unless you unplug from ComEd, don't recommend it, you know, be facetious. You can't say it's from here. And we'll go a little more to certificates or not, but their certificates are audited and retired, and they are an intangible production of wind farms. Elaborate a little more. Yes or no? Okay, so when there's solar, hydroelectric, methane gas, when green energy is produced, there's two things that happen. After electrons are fed into the grid, and then a certificate is created. It's an intangible entity. And those certificates are audited, they're numbered, they're tracked by a system, there's complicated names for them, tracked by a system within our grid, And they are called Green E-certificates, and they can trade on a market. So MC Squared can go and buy those. Those are certificates, and that's what you had in the past. You had some renewable energy component to your electric aggregation program, so you had that in the past. And that's the only way you could ever have green or renewable energy in the community. So it's a commonly traded item, and those certificates are retired, they're numbered, and we could actually, for the village of Riverside, I produced them with a report of exactly where it's from, the name of the entity, and the retirement figure, so it's something that's tracked.
Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. So are there any risks to our residents as a result of this?
Good question. Really, they're paying a ComEd rate now. With the program, they would continue to pay the ComEd rate. So the upside I see is you can offer renewable energy at zero cost from the village, zero cost from the residents. No risk, because MC Squared, something happened to that firm, by law, ComEd continues to push power through the grid. Folks would pay the same rate. And a question I received from Brendan and Julia today, you look at your ComEd bill and your neighbor's ComEd bill, MC Squared will list the pricing exactly the same to the penny. ComEd's a little bit complicated. They have 3 rows describing the pricing. And so MC Squared will replicate that just so you can be sure and see they're identical. I see no risk, but if someone says, gee, I don't like that, I don't want to pay the ComEd rate with the village's program, they can opt out and still pay the ComEd rate to ComEd.
I guess the second question is, and I didn't see it in the materials anywhere, but has our sustainability committee had a chance to be involved in the analysis and review of this?
Not presented to the sustainability committee. Are there some folks here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. We met with sustainability committees in other communities, and they've been highly in favor of it. Another community is not LaGrange Park, but it's been very well received, I can say anecdotally.
Karen, we have the chair of the Sustainability Commission here tonight. Krista, would you care to say anything?
Sure. This is on. Okay. So we have not, we did not see this rate chart, but we have, we did have a presentation by Brendan of the concept, and we are very much in favor of it. The Sustainability Commission is very much in favor of it. It will save greenhouse gas emissions overall.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Krista. Any other comments from any other board members?
Interesting.
No motion, no action.
Yeah, so tonight, Sharon, the board will be discussing it, making a recommendation. We won't take any action tonight, and that'll be at our next meeting. But no other questions for Sharon? Trustee Rocco?
No questions, but thank you for coming in and explaining this.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, next is public participation. Anyone care to address the board? Moving on, consent agenda, Amanda?
The items on the consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes, strategic planning meeting, June 18th, 2018. Village board meeting, June 26, 2018. Executive session, June 26, 2018. Work session meeting, July 10th, 2018. B, action, a resolution allowing an amended mutual aid agreement for the Northern Illinois Police Alarm System. Motion to adopt a resolution approving the amended mutual aid agreement for the Northern Illinois Police Alarm System. C, action, retention agreement, Edelson. Motion authorizing the village president to execute a retention agreement with Edelson PC to represent the village in its investigation into and potential litigation of the opioid matter. D, action, motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the finance committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers. And E, action motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and August 28th, 2018, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on August 28th, 2018.
The motion to approve the consent agenda is presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda. Moving on, village managers report. Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you hear me okay with this? Okay,
Yes.
yes, I can hear. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I have 2 items to report on this evening, neither of which are included in your board packet this evening. The first item to report is that we have tentatively planned a joint pension board meeting, village board meeting. Each year we have this annual meeting with the police pension board. We have tentatively set September 11th, that work session for that board meeting. So if you have any concerns or conflicts about that meeting date, please let staff know. Next week, Larry will be attending the Police Pension Board meeting, and he will be floating that date to those members to see if it works for them. So that's the first item I have to report. The second item I have to report is regarding total TIF revenue. In 2017, the village implemented 2 TIF districts. One is the Village Market TIF district. The other is the Barnesdale Road 31st Street TIF district. And just today, Finance Director Noller Larry provided me with the county clerk's report on total TIF revenue for each of those TIF districts. And I have the results to provide to the board this evening. These figures are a little bit different than the first distribution, which was distributed last week. Needless to say, the numbers are very promising, and so I wanted to give those. So the total TIF revenue reported by the county clerk for the 31st Street Barnesdale Road TIF district is reported at $313,000. And the total TIF revenue for the Village Market is reported at $220,000. These figures are very promising. We do anticipate that there may be some tax appeals that will occur in these TIF districts. Nonetheless, these numbers look very good, especially for the first year. We anticipated in our feasibility study that for the first year, the 31st Street Barnesdale TIF district would produce $70,000 in TIF revenue, and we had predicted or anticipated about $87,000 in TIF revenue. So a good start. We're hoping that this is promising, and so wanted to make sure that that information was available for the board and the public tonight. And with that, that's all I have to report.
Julia, a question. I mean, those figures are outstanding, and what a great tribute to this board to go down that path. Why do you think that we estimated like almost a quarter of what we're at now, 70,000 compared to 313,000?
That's a good question. I can start off by answering the question a little bit. May have to turn it over to Larry for a little bit more information. This is the first report of these figures. Generally speaking, in talking with Larry, it comes down to 2 factors that have to be considered. One is the EAV. The EAV for the entire village has gone up substantially, 23%. And also there are a number of rate changes that also occurred in each of the districts. And so these 2 items combined can certainly impact that number, especially if the assumptions that we utilize to make predictions about that revenue were very different. And I believe that our predictions for the EAV were much lower than 23%. I can't recall off the top of my head, maybe Emily does. We did not anticipate that the EAV would go up that much. Certainly, individual properties have gone up in value because of improvements made, but I would say that the most substantial impact to this is due to the EAV improvement, the increase to the EAV as well as the rate changes that have occurred throughout the areas with the triennial assessment. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Larry, do you want to add anything?
you know, again, I think kudos to this board and to staff for going down this path and, you know, to increase the EV and improve property values as a result of all the hard work that we have done for economic development and the commission under Trustee Kucera is really outstanding. And wow, great results. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Administration Committee, Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I have 3 items to report to the community on, and 2 items for discussion and action. First, to update the community on, first of all, National Night Out. And the Lake Grange Park Police Department Crime Prevention Unit and Fire Department will host the 2018 National Night Out on the evening of Tuesday, August 7th at Memorial Park. Several activities and festivities are scheduled to begin at 7 p.m., and they include child safety seat inspections, food, inflatables, entertainment, and a free raffle. Please join us for this free, family-friendly event, and I encourage all residents to come out and take advantage of this. I understand there's a lot of fun activities and surprises planned for the community, so I encourage everyone to participate and take advantage of this event. Second item is regarding the village vehicle sticker deadline that's upcoming. Every resident must purchase a LaGrange Park vehicle sticker for each vehicle that they own and use in the village, and that includes leased or company-owned vehicles registered elsewhere. New residents and residents who buy a new vehicle have 60 days to purchase a sticker. Vehicle stickers must be purchased by July 31st of each year. Vehicle stickers are $35 per year or $15 per year for seniors who are 65 years of age prior to July 1st for their first vehicle. Vehicle stickers may be purchased online or for more information on pricing or to obtain a mail-in application, just call the Village Hall at 708-354-0225. And the third item to report on activities is we are looking for Youth Commission members. This is a great program to consider participating with the village. The village currently has 4 openings on the commission and is seeking youths that age from 7th grade through the 12th grade who are interested in serving their community and learning more about their local government. This commission serves alongside the other village board committees, which makes recommendations to the village board. The commissioners receive the same agenda and discuss the same issues that the village board discusses at their workshop meetings. And for more information on this program, please contact Sandy Bakalich at 708-354-0225 or visit the Village Hall's website at www.lagrangepark.org. And the first item for discussion and action is regarding the small cell ordinance. A little bit of background is that on April 12th, 2018, Public Act 100-0585, which was the Small Wireless Facilities Deployment Act, was passed. This act provides the regulations and process for permitting and deploying small cell wireless facilities throughout Illinois. This act went into effect on June 1st of this year, 2018. The act includes a provision allowing municipalities 2 months from the effective date of June 1st, 2018, to either adopt fees through an ordinance or to provide a fee schedule pursuant to the act. The Illinois Municipal League has developed several documents to assist the municipalities with the implementation of the act. That includes a model small wireless facilities deployment ordinance. This ordinance establishes the maximum permit fee level allowable under state law and outlines the application process and regulations municipalities are permitted to enact per the act. With our materials in the packet included the ordinance that's being recommended, a copy of the Public Act 100-0585, and a list of frequently asked questions to the IML regarding this act. Staff has been in front of this again, thank goodness. Staff recommends the village board adopt the attached ordinance in order to allow the village to require an application and permit fee for the installation of small wireless facilities. If the village does not pass an ordinance, very important, if the village does not pass an ordinance to make available to wireless providers the rates, fees, and terms for the attachment of small wireless facilities on municipal utility poles. Wireless providers may attach small wireless facilities and install utility poles on their own accord, provided they comply with the requirements of the Act. So considering this information, Mr. President and Board, I would submit a motion to approve an ordinance providing for the regulation of an application for small wireless facilities.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank goodness staff is in front of this. This could turn into a real mess, I believe, if we did not enact this ordinance to make sure that we maintain the easements and control of what happens within those easements. So with that, I would strongly support this.
Any comments from the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, and to follow on with that, regarding the same Public Act 100-0585, which I read the background before, there's a recommendation by staff to incorporate the new small cell wireless facility regulations that are in Title IX, as this chapter includes other regulations related to village rights-of-way. The regulations would be incorporated as a new Chapter 99. Staff also recommends relocating the existing Chapter 117 entitled Telecommunications Regulations to Title IX, as these regulations also deal with work in the village's rights-of-way. The Chapter 117 telecommunications would be moved to Chapter 98. So it's basically codifying the small cell wireless facilities regulations and telecommunications ordinance to make it a more organized presentation of all the topics related to this area. So with that, I would submit a motion to approve an ordinance amending Title IX and Title 11 of the Grange Park Municipal Code regulating small cell wireless facilities and telecommunications.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, trustee Lautner?
Thank you again, Mr. President. And regarding the organization of this ordinance and making sure that all the areas that touch upon the rights of way, I would certainly support the changes and that's been recommended.
Seeing no comments from the board, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And that concludes the updates and items for action, discussion and action from the administration area this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Moving on, Building and Zoning Committee, trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the building department activities for June of 2018. 115 building permits were issued in June compared to 103 last June. 504 permits have been issued through June compared to 432 at the end of 2017. Estimated construction costs for the month were approximately 4.5 times compared to what they were June last year. Permit fees collected for the month were about double compared to last June. 136 inspections were conducted in June compared to 130 last June. 4 were not approved. Demolition work began at Brook Park School. Most of the areas of demolition are now complete and construction is beginning on the site and the new addition. Inspections were conducted for the patio area at Post 031, and approval was given for use and occupancy. During the month, staff met with an architect at Bethlehem Woods to discuss potential changes to the design of a center stairwell in the assisted living building and the installation of new additional locking systems on other stairwell doors. The interior renovation work at PNC Bank was completed this month, which included some new interior office spaces. And that's all I have for the building department. I have one item that is for discussion and action. In 2015, Nazareth Academy was granted a variance from the village board to install permanent lights on the existing football field. The purpose of the lights was to allow for evening practices and sporting events. The village board's approval for the variation for the lights was conditioned upon several items, including a restriction to 5 night football games per year and the requirement to obtain an exception from the village's nuisance requirement regulations in order to operate their sound system past 9 p.m. during the night football games. In accordance with the zoning approval, Nazareth Academy has submitted a temporary use permit application requesting an exception to the nuisance regulations regarding noise for the following night football games: Friday, August 24th, Friday, September 14th, Friday, October 5th, Friday, October 12th, and a possible playoff game, the date to be determined. The games will begin at 7 p.m. and are anticipated to conclude by 10 p.m. Village staff may approve the event as a permitted temporary use in accordance with Section 153.195 of the Village Municipal Code, but cannot approve the event to operate past 9 p.m. due to village nuisance restrictions. Section 93.4.c.5 of the Village Municipal Code classifies all loud and discordant noises or vibrations of any type between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. as a nuisance affecting peace and safety. The municipal code permits a village board to approve an exception to the nuisance restrictions for temporary uses. As such, should the village board approve an exception to nuisance restrictions specific to identified dates, village staff will approve their temporary use application. Staff recommends that the board approve this, and I would like to make a motion to grant an exception to the nuisance regulations contained in Section 93.4.c.5 as amended of the Village Municipal Code for the purpose of allowing Nazareth Academy to operate their sound system until 10 p.m. on August 24th, September 14th, October 5th, October 12th, and for a potential playoff game on a date to be determined.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Trustee Zora?
Yes, thank you. We do this every year, and I have no reason not to approve this.
Any other comments? Trustee Wagner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one quick question. Have there been any negative feedback, comments from the village, from folks along Edgewood?
Regarding the noise regulations,
Right.
I'm not aware of any
Okay.
concerns regarding the noise. I think there were
Good.
some concerns with entrance, but we've addressed those immediately
Great.
as they came in. The police department put together a plan and made sure that we were out there observing the entrance, any entrance issues.
Great. Thank you.
Any other comments? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Trustee Zora.
Thank you.
Moving on, engineering and capital projects, Trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening I have 4 items to report on. First item, work on Village's 2018 paving program by K5 Construction continues to advance quickly. Curb and gutter and driveway replacement has been completed on most streets. Work in front of the schools is being performed currently and will be completed by the end of July to minimize our interference with their operations. All paving elements of the project will be completed by early August. However, some landscape restoration work will need to wait until weather conditions moderate in early fall. The second item, Arrow Road construction has completed all the work on the Harding Avenue project ahead of schedule and under budget. This project is being administered through the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, and funded jointly by the state and village. As such, a considerable amount of effort will still need to be expended to close out this construction. The third item, the Sherwood Road resurfacing project was included on the Illinois Department of Transportation June letting. The low responsible bid was submitted by K5 Construction. This is the same contractor that is currently doing the 2018 paving program. IDOT should be aware the contract in late July with an anticipated construction start in late August. All work is expected to be completed by this construction season. The last item, on July 19th, bids were opened by the Village Hall for the 2018 Village-wide patching program. During the July 26th board meeting, the village voted to award a contract to the low responsible bidder, M&J Asphalt. Work on this contract is expected to be completed by late July, early August. That concludes my report this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. It was just brought to my attention, the date was not July 26th, I believe.
It-
Or the fourth.
We haven't
second
had
meeting.
there is no July 26th board meeting.
So it's
So it's either June 26th or the last board meeting 2 weeks ago.
So we'll make that correction. Thank you, trustee Sarah. Public Safety Committee, trustee Massey.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will start with the Police Department monthly report. The total number of crimes reported are slightly higher this year, with a total of 132 incidents through June of 2018 compared to 112 for the previous year. Traffic enforcement is very similar to last year, with 3,026 total citations this year compared to 3,097 last year. Total police activity is at 5,028 total incidents this year compared to 4,770 from the previous year. Mark calendars and do not miss out on the upcoming police department special events. First, the National Night Out, August 7th at Memorial Park, 7 p.m. Please contact Sergeant Matt Fellers at 708-352-7711, extension 264, for further information. There will be coffee with the chief and staff on Wednesday, August 22nd from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Plymouth Place. And then lastly, the Citizen Police Academy, Thursday starting September 13th through October 11th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. Please contact Officer Chris Dempsey at 708-352-7711, extension 275 for further information. Also, please contact the Chief of Police's Secretary, Shelley Johnson, at 708-352-7711, extension 203, or at sjohnson@lagrangepark.org. That is SJOHNSON at lagrangepark.org to take part in the weekly safety briefs, which is comprised of very helpful safety and community alerts. And as a reminder, always lock and secure your vehicles, garages, and homes when especially when you're not around. Also, always keep valuables out of sight at all times. Do not become an easy target for any possible crime of opportunity. And that concludes the police department report. On to fire. Fire department for June 2018, EMS incidents in the month were 136. There were 805 year-to-date compared to 841 at the same period last year. Fire rescue incidents this month, 36, where there have been 230 year-to-date compared to 245 last year. On June 1st, some of our personnel and their children participated in the pet parade. On June 4th, we were requested to assist with the funeral procession of Chicago firefighter diver Juan Bucio. Our ladder truck, working with the Chicago Fire Tower Ladder 54, was used to display our American flag over Harlem Avenue at 47th Street as the procession passed to this point on its way to the burial at Cemetery in Stickney. On the evening of June 4th, a review of operations and equipment location was completed, and our new ladder truck was officially placed in service. During the month, our former ladder truck was placed for sale at govdeals.com auction site. The vehicle was moved to the Public Works facility for storage until it can be sold. On June 9th, an ambulance crew and fire chief participated in a disaster drill at Midway Airport. The event simulated a plane engine falling upon takeoff and the plane crashing on the runway with several injuries and fatalities. And that concludes the fire department report, and there is one action item. Okay, the general background, the division chief of fire prevention has taken a 6-month leave of absence. As such, we considered various interim staffing options for division operators and responsibilities. From using current personnel to hiring a private contractor to hiring a temporary part-time employee. Many of the immediate needs and tasks of the vacant position are being handled by the fire chief or other fire department officers and our building official, but there is still a substantial gap in addressing the workload in the fire department or fire prevention division. As such, after careful evaluation, we believe the gap is best met by hiring a temporary part-time fire inspector. As we prepare to move forward, staff identified a notation in Table 5 of our village budget document that reads, "Fire inspectors must be LaGrange Park firefighters to serve as fire inspectors." In our research of this notation, staff could not identify any ordinance, code, or other documentation regarding this requirement. Staff believes that this notation was placed in the budget table to indicate that fire inspectors would also be our own current firefighters, and as such did not amount to an additional 4 employees within the ranks of the fire department. Based upon our immediate staffing need and our plan to fill it, we are bringing this to the village board as a precautionary measure so the village may move forward employing a temporary part-time fire inspector who is not currently a LaGrange Park firefighter. This should not have a negative impact on the budget. Staff recommends we quickly move forward to fill the gap in staffing the Fire Prevention Division and believes that hiring a temporary part-time employee is our best option. While this position is a village-authorized position per village board approval in April 2018, the budget notation gives staff reason to pause the temporary hiring process subject to explicit board approval. As such, staff is requesting the village board support the hiring of a temporary part-time fire inspector who is not currently a LaGrange Park firefighter. So I'd like to make a motion authorizing the hiring of a temporary part-time fire inspector.
Motion is second.
Second.
Discussion. Trustee Messick?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's as it says, it was approved in April, and this is more of a clarification, and it's something that I think both for safety reasons and to ease the burden on staff that's doing extra work, I would fully support it.
Any other comments by the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And that concludes public safety, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Messick, and good job, Chief. Public Works Committee, Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Works operations for June were as follows. Tree maintenance, trimming, and inspections were performed during 142 regular hours. 6 diseased trees were removed by Public Works staff. Brush pickup continued in the first full week in June. Crews made multiple passes through town, spending 98 hours picking up 191 yards of brush. 15 hours were spent delivering mulch to residents throughout the month as requested. 122 regular hours were spent on the maintenance of Public Works equipment and vehicles. 44 hours were spent filling potholes and patching water excavations, with approximately 15 tons of asphalt being used. 1 catch basin was reconstructed and repaired. Street sweeping continued, spending 56 daytime hours, covering 172 miles of village roadways were swept, collecting 46 yards of debris. 182 day shift hours were spent on building and ground maintenance around the Public Works facility, Village Hall, and along 31st Street. Staff planted summer flowers at the Village Hall and planted bushes along the generator behind the Village Hall. Staff installed American flags on 31st Street light poles. Block party barricades were delivered to requested addresses. New rose bushes and mulch were added at Poets Corner. Work orders were completed with crews removing roadkill, making sign repairs, and attending to resident concerns. Water Department operations, over 385 day shift hours and 57 overtime hours during the month of June were spent on maintenance and repairs of sewer and water mains. 32,420,000 gallons of water were purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,350 water meters were read in Section 3. 55 monthly accounts and 34 final meter readings were taken. Various inspections, appointments, and service calls were performed. 4 water, sewer inspections, 6 meter appointments, and 30 service calls were performed. 15 water bacterial samples were taken. UCMR 4 samples were taken. 242 utility locations were identified prior to excavation. 1 water service line was repaired. 2 water mains were repaired. 5 valve boxes were repaired. Next, Mr. President, we have a change order on the Barnesdale Road water main. The purpose of this agenda item is to authorize payment for additional time spent adjusting to field conditions to install a water line around a Commonwealth Edison electrical duct bank. In the course of installing water lines prior to paving Barnesdale Road, it was discovered that the ComEd duct bank was at higher elevation than originally contemplated, forcing a change in plans to relocate the crossing of the new water line to serve 1201 Barnesdale as it is related to the electric duct bank. This required our contractor, Suburban General, to dig in 2 separate locations before finding a 3rd location that would allow the water line to safely cross the electrical duct bank. This work had to be performed at slower pace to prevent any chance of damaging the electric infrastructure. In this fiscal year, the village has budgeted in the plant improvements, water mains, 03, 44, 4, 420, $850,000. As the water tower safety improvements contract came in under budget by $13,680, funds are available to cover this change order. Staff is requesting that the board authorize payment at tonight's meeting. Therefore, Mr. President, I make a motion to authorize payment to Suburban General in the amount of $6,500.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, trustee Sheehan?
Now, it's a safety issue, it had to take time, and this is one thing you definitely don't want to hit or even come close to, so I'm all for it, Mr. President.
Comments from the board, seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, lastly, Mr. President, the 2018-2019 tree trimming program. Staff is seeking approval tonight to extend Winkler's Tree Service tree trimming contract for the 18-19 tree trimming season. The village has again been approached by Vince Winkler, owner of Winkler's Tree Service, to see if the village wanted to extend his tree trimming contract from last year to this year's tree program. Winkler did an excellent job of trimming 832 trees in the village at a cost of $47.28 per tree in the area from the Grange Road and the IHB Railroad south of 31st last year. The contractor would like to lock LaGrange Park in at the current rate now so that he can plan his winter tree trimming bids accordingly. The area recommended for trimming this year is between Beach and Kemen. This area was last trimmed in January 2013. This will be 6 years, which is 1 year longer than recommended. In this fiscal year, the village has budgeted in the Public Works Fund, trimming and removal, 01, 44, 3, 322, $55,000 for the village's annual tree trimming program. The contract amount will be based on $47.28 per tree, with 916 trees estimated to be trimmed, totaling $43,308.48. Staff is requesting village board extend the contract tonight's meeting. Therefore, Mr. President, I make a motion, 1, to extend the 2015-16 tree trimming contract with Winkler's Tree Service for an additional year for $43,308.48 plus a 10% contingency, and 2, to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary contract documents.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion, trustee Sheehan?
Kudos to Director McLaughlin and staff for working a good relationship with Winkler's to extend that price to the village. I don't know of any complaints that he's had during the different sections, and we've used him for quite a few years, so why not keep a good thing going, sir?
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And that concludes Public Works this evening, sir.
Director McLaughlin, did you want to say something?
I just want to make one comment.
Sure.
We have really not had any issues, I think 1 in 4 or 5 years, and it was just someone didn't want their tree touched, you know. But overall, for the amount of tree trimming that they do, we get very, very few complaints or concerns about it. I really want to speak about, I called Vince Winkler at 8 o'clock on Friday night. We had a tree come down over near the Jewel. He was on scene within 15 minutes of talking to him. These guys stayed out there till 12:30 at night getting that tree down because the weather looked worse for Saturday morning. And this was right adjacent to power lines on top of it, so they had to bring a second crew out with lights and everything and carefully take that down without de-energizing the entire grid, you know, during a rainstorm. They didn't want to cause problems for sump pumps or anything else. So I just, real hats off to Winkler's Tree Service. They do a tremendous job for us.
Great.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Brendan. Okay, moving on, Finance Committee, Trustee Rocco.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're 17% into our fiscal year. Fiscal year-to-date general fund revenue is at 12% of the annual budget at about $110,000 higher than the prior year. Sales receipts are about 13.5% higher than last year, while telecommunication taxes are down by 7.6%. Permit revenue is up over 30% compared to last year due to the permit fee for the Sisters of St. Joseph's project. Intergovernmental revenue is slightly up compared to last year as personal property replacement tax and state use tax have increased. Charges for services are down about $22,000 due to lower ambulance fee receipts. Fine revenue is up over 38% compared to last year due to a large court fine receipt and local debt recovery program receipts. Miscellaneous revenue is higher due primarily to the increase in tower lease fees. The total general fund expenditures are within expectations at 13% of the annual budget and about $78,000 lower than last year. The decrease is primarily due to a change in the payment of timing for the paramedic contract and lower police department personnel costs as a result of retirements last year. That concludes my report, and there is one action item, Mr. President, and it is for a budget amendment. The purpose is to approve the budget amendment for fiscal year 2017-18 budget. Village policy requires the village board amend the annual budget if the total expenditures for a department or fund will exceed the approved budget. State statute authorizes the village to revise the budget by a 2/3 vote. The fire bond fund requires an amendment of $11,000 to allow for expenditures for various accessories related to the new ladder truck, which is fabulous, might I add. Approximately 11% in accessories were purchased and received in late fiscal year 2017-18, while the invoices were paid in early fiscal year 2018-19. Accounting rules require that these costs be accrued into the fiscal year 2017-18, which will exceed the original budget. Staff recommends we approve the attached budget amendment at tonight's board meeting. I move to approve the resolution amending the fiscal year 2017-18 budget.
Second.
Motion is second, discussion, Trustee Rocco.
Yes, Mr. President, we already approved for these expenditures for the $11,000 at the time they came, so it makes sense only that we would amend the budget to reflect that.
Any other comments? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And that concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco. Commercial Revitalization Committee, Trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Commercial Revitalization Committee, CRC, met on Monday, July 16th. The topics of discussion included streetscaping improvements in the village's 4 business districts, a status update on a feasibility study for the village market, and an update on the status of the former Pancake House property. The CRC set dates for 3 upcoming meetings, which will serve as field visits to the village's various business districts, in order to further evaluate and identify potential streetscape improvements. These dates include August 23rd at 6 o'clock at Posto 31, September 13th at 6 p.m. at Bill's Place, and October 1st at 6 p.m. at Panera. A 4th meeting to be held at Matone will be scheduled in the near future. And if I could make a comment, Mr. President.
Yes, Trustee Casera.
I would like to thank Village Manager Cedillo, Assistant Village Manager Emily Rodman for the work that they put into the meeting. It was a tremendous meeting with the discussion and the possibilities that we have for streetscape improvement. And I'd also like to thank other committee members, Trustee Rocco, Trustee Zora, Trustee Sheen. We went back to the start of this. It was a great meeting. It was the end of a long day. And Village Manager Cedillo suggested we put together a group of 4 meetings. And instead of everybody saying, why are we doing this, everybody jumped at the chance and said, let's do it. And we plan on walking through these 4 business districts. They're all different and unique, and put together some ideas on what we can use for streetscaping. So thank you, and kudos to all.
Well, that's great, Trustee Casera. Do these include food too? They're all at restaurants, so I don't know. Good choice, you guys. Good job. And great work by your committee and the staff, so thank you. I mean, everybody's seeing the results of what we're doing, and it certainly is enlightening to see 31st Street the way it is, and the hard work that has been put in by this board again and staff. So thank you, Trustee Casera. Okay, other reports, village clerk,
I have nothing to report, Mr.
our
President.
village treasurer,
No report tonight, Mr. President.
our village engineer,
No report, Mr. President.
our village attorney.
No report, Mr. President.
Okay, sustainability commission, trustee Rocco.
President, are you referring to the electrical aggregation program, Mr. President?
Yes.
Okay. So as you know, tonight we had a presentation made by Sharon Durling of the Northern Illinois Municipal Collaborative outlining how they're moving forward to procure green energy to serve village residents under electric aggregation program. The village board work session, there was a consensus from the village board to move forward to secure electrical contracts to provide LaGrange Park homes with green energy at or below the current ComEd rates. Tonight's meeting, the board will, as you know, we had a presentation from Sharon Durling on how they solicited proposals from the electrical suppliers. An RFP has been issued to test the market to confirm that electric rates will financially support a change from ComEd to a mixture of sources that result in 100% renewable energy sources. At our August work session, the village board will be asked to take action to secure a renewable energy supplier under the electric aggregation program. Staff is only tonight, it's just for a presentation, and no recommendation is provided at this time, and no motion is required at this meeting. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Rocco. Motion to approve committee and collectors report as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have a couple items. Friday, we had the mayor's golf outing. It rained, but we still held it, and I have to report that trustee Messick had the best shot of the day. Emily had the lowest net score for the day, and Julie had the longest drive. So, good job, you guys. Good time was had by all, and we represented the village well. There was some concern that was brought to our attention about some unfinished business at Memorial Park, the new construction. Our engineer and Brendan and made some comments. So Julie and I met yesterday, last evening, with Alex Breedis, the executive director, and with Karen Boyd, the president of the park board. I think it was a good meeting. We had a great discussion. I think they're aware of what our concerns are, and will work rapidly, hopefully, to make all the recommendations that we have made to them. So hopefully that will get taken care of quickly. I have a proclamation. So I think that's it. Okay, proclamation National Night Out 2018, August 7th. The National Association of Town Watch is sponsoring a unique nationwide drug and violence prevention program on August 7th, 2018, entitled National Night Out. Whereas the 35th Annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the village of LaGrange Park to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. Whereas the Village of LaGrange Park's Police Department plays a vital role in assisting the Cook County Sheriff's Department and other law enforcement agencies through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention effort in the Village of LaGrange Park and is supporting National Night Out 2018 locally. Whereas it is essential that all citizens of the Village of LaGrange Park be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in the Village of LaGrange Park. Whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Therefore, be it further resolved that the members of the LaGrange Park Village Board encourage all citizens of the Village of LaGrange Park to join the Village of LaGrange Park Police Department, the National Association of Town Watch, in supporting the 35th Annual National Night Out on August 7, 2018. And if anybody has been hearing, it's going to be quite the event. It's going to be an event that you will not want to miss. Officer Fellers has done a tremendous job. Amanda has helped out with the efforts, and we're really looking forward to a fantastic evening. So kudos to your staff, Chief. I don't have any other items, any public participation, no one's out there. Any new business? Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to make a couple public comments. We continually acknowledge the efforts of our excellent staff that we're all very proud of. There's no question about that. And just wanted to also add that they really deserve the comments that we make regarding the vetting and the selecting and the managing of the vendors that continually do business for this village. And that's a tribute to the people that are responsible for selecting them. And in addition to the Winklers, as Brendan acknowledged, unsolicited, I had 2 or 3 residents that commented to me, pointing out that, boy, you really did a nice job with selecting like K5 and some of the other vendors that are working on our streets. And that doesn't go unnoticed. As a next door neighbor, and I pass this information along to Chief, is the vendor that he uses, that we use for updating all of our police vehicles with the appropriate options and et cetera. For example, I told Chief, this guy never stops. I mean, it's the work ethic and the contribution that they make to the village that I just wanted to, again, acknowledge that the work that our staff and folks do with managing these vendors is terrific and very much appreciated, certainly by the board, I know, as well as the residents. So I think it's worthy of commenting on that again.
Well said, Trustee Lautner. Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Trustee Rocco?
Is it too late to give a public participation, non-agenda related? Is that what we're,
Sure, go ahead.
okay, should I go to the podium?
It's not political, is it?
It is political.
Okay, then you can go up to the podium.
Okay. It's not
Sure.
it's not controversial, but it
I
does
didn't-
still, so I don't wanna, that's why. I just want to announce that the League of Women Voters, along with the LaGrange Park Library, we're hosting an event on Monday, August 20th, regarding local elections for 2019, how you can get involved, how you can get yourself on the ballot, or how you can influence somebody to get on the ballot. We have a great panel. We have the president of the LaGrange Park Caucus. We have a former member of the Delegate Assembly for District 102. We have a former, I think, who served on the LaGrange Community, this is not caucus, it's Community Council, and also a trustee, and from LaGrange Park, myself, and then also a former LaGrange Park library trustee. So it's a great, and also then finally we do have on the panel is a former county clerk, so she will be able to advise on how you can get petitions signed and how you can get on the ballot. So this is an event open to the public. If you're interested in participating in local elections, getting involved, whether you want to run or whether you want to influence, this is a great opportunity for you to find out more about it. Thank you.
Trustee Rocco, we're getting the date and time.
It's Monday, August 20th at the LaGrange Park Library at 7 p.m. from 7 to 8:45.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments from the board, any new business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.